Okay, back with another live stream, and let's check that stream before we go on and forget. I've been doing that lately, just forgetting to check it. All right, now, it's all working. A little yellow, but it's working. There's on the admin page for your YouTube, there's a green, yellow, or red line, and green's good, yellow's caution, I guess, and then red is bad. So, and sometimes when it stays red for a while, it may just quit altogether. So anyway, I'm back. My last stream was abruptly ended because I'll go to the desktop because I made a dumb mistake. Okay, so I was in the remote terminal, so I thought, over on my server, and you know, I worked along and I installed the speed test CLI and ran a speed test. Just so happened I had saved this output right before it happened. And then I went to try and run the commands. Well, first I, let's see, right here. Oh, it says failed to start. Let's see, where did it go? There it is. I rebooted the machine with the Cockpit Admin tool over there in the browser, and if I'd have been reading any of this, which, you know, really, I've done well enough, you know, in the last year or so. I was just using the remote shell in Cockpit, but it's got missing features that a real shell has. So I started using this one, and this is third or fourth time I've used it, period, you know, as a remote shell. I mean, years ago I tried it once or twice, I think. But I really didn't have a lot of use for it, but lately I have a lot of use for it, so for remote shells. And so anyway, so my excuse is I'm new to this remote shell business. So what I should have known, I mean, it was slapping me in the face left and right. In the end of that, watch the end of that video. If you don't watch anything else, it's actually kind of funny. So it told me right there that it lost connection to the remote host, and I kept wondering. I mean, I had clues when I put in the command systemctl httpd.service, you know, and it says connection closed right above that. It popped up a GUI wanting a root password, and I was like, what? In a remote shell? I've never seen that before. And I even said on the video, I watched the tail end of it already. I said, is that on my machine or that machine? But I think I mentioned before that I was getting finally realized after it shut down. I was getting so hungry, my stomach was hurting, but I wanted to finish, you know, and I ate another little, right before, during this time I ate another little, I already had one, and it had already wore off on those little Hershey nuggets, and then I ate another one right around this time. So my mind wasn't working good. So anyway, so I tried to run that, and instead of, and it didn't, what's weird, what I was doing is I was running it on my machine, and as a matter of fact, there you go, it tells you where you're at right there. But I wasn't reading any of that. I just look at the end, you know, look for the command prompt, start and paste something in there. Right there, it shows Bishop Acer. See, and then these commands were run on my local machine. I could have seen if I'd looked. So it said failed to start, timed out. Well, first time I couldn't. I kept trying to type in the password for the other machine, and then finally I would say, well, my password, and so it's kind of hilarious, you know. I guess you watch the video, it'd be better than me explaining it. But anyway, finally, oh yeah, that's not in here, but at the very end of the video, you can see me. I was going to reboot it, and I said, I'll reboot it in the shell just to be different. And I thought, you know, I didn't realize I was on this machine, my Lenovo i5, the one I'm streaming from. So it was, you see in the video REB or something like that, and boom, it's gone. So yeah, I rebooted this machine in the middle of my recording. So happy days. So anyway, I thought that woke me up, and I was like, I am starving. I can't think straight. So I went and ate supper. And I still went as fast as I could because I want to get back to this, get it done, and then not stay up too late. But went and got me something to eat, brought it in here, of course. And I watched through my videos, actually, while I was eating. So I was really kind of still working. Of course, I didn't try to rename them, but it's really hard for me to. I got this nice big tray that I eat on, you know, set kind of a lap tray, you know, but it has legs on it. and so it makes it set better. And but I can reach the keyboard and type, but you get your arms in your food and stuff. It's pretty hard to do. So I usually don't try to do that when I'm eating, because it's better to relax and eat as much as you can. It really, then you're more better to come back to work. If you're taking a lunch or I was my supper, but so learning about remote shell. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and where is that? Should be from the last time I was in there. See it though. Okay, well I'm going to put it right here. For some reason, it remembers my, I guess that's the NetPro Max IP address, but every time I go ahead and I get that up, I go to it and then I change it. I guess that's why it doesn't work. 182. It doesn't take it and put it in the memory. And so I don't get to use the memory there, the last address. So I'm going ahead and log in here first. And kind of look at the it's the machine is just still, the Acer laptop with Fedora 29 server. It's still running. I didn't do anything to it. I didn't reboot it. That's why I was trying to reboot. Why was I trying to reboot it? Oh, to see if it was going to work. But now I know it wouldn't work because I did it all wrong. So actually, I didn't want it in storage. If anything, I wanted it in networking to see how it looks. Okay, services is where I want. That thing there drives me insane. I sure wish I could turn that off. Every time I try to move to something here, it pops out of my way. What's the point of it even? It's just, well, I'm not even going to go to it again. There's nothing really to look at, just a little graphic of what's going on. But I mean, it could have been, instead of having this pop out thing, just have 3 icons up here. Have that one first, that one second, and this one third, and they wouldn't take up that much space. Or if you're going to have it, don't have it pop out like that. That just drives me nuts. All right, applications, wrong thing. Services. Yeah, I'm getting cranky. Even my food hasn't come. I feel better, but my food hasn't taken over. Fix my crankiness yet. Now I guess I'm just now getting to the cranky stage after I've already ate. Okay, so the httpd service, it's running right now because I started it with this. I went in here and started it, and but I swear, you could make it. Start it and stick it from right here, but maybe I forget. So I got the page up with the commands again. I got the page up with the commands again. Now it's already installed, but I am going to need to, I installed that. This is Fedora 29 Server Edition that I installed with the net installer. So, but I need to get over here and get on. I'm going to put it in the same spot where I had it before. I still do like using this shell better than the one that's built into the cockpit. There's a lot of things that act funny in there, like when you copy and paste and stuff. Yeah, don't reboot yet. Okay, and there's that command. Oh yeah. Okay, see, there's the enable. There's the start, and then there's the login to that server. With that password, I have to take my time and look at the keyboard. I used to could get it right without even looking. All right, now, I don't remember. This is the one I know. Instead of trying to rely on my vague memory, I want, it's already started. It'll just say, well, it didn't say anything. I thought it was going to say, it's already running, but it didn't. So that's fine. Okay, now. Enable to auto start httpd service when it's booting. Execute the following. This is what's not happening. It's not auto starting when I boot up the machine. Maybe I've just forgotten that I had to run this command before. It might be in my videos. There we go. That's what I was expecting. Instead of a GUI pop-up asking for a root password. It was doing that because I was on my machine. Now, did I leave that file open or did I close it? I guess I closed it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and edit that file and add that at the end. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to put reboot in there. All right, now I actually think I have that. Well, I'm just going to go with that. I think I might have saved it twice, but I'm not going to keep going and fiddling around. Now, of course, I can type reboot there. Well, I guess I might. All right, now let's just do it up here. It's a little less scary. I'm a little leery now. This way I know for sure what machine I'm on. I realized before that I could switch. Let's see, are we ready to do that? I guess we are. System start, enable. Kind of wondering why. Let's go look at the services again. Not quite sure, but usually if it's already running, something's already running, it tells you that. But restart. I could do it. No, don't do that. That'll take too long. No delay. Restart. Okay, let's see if we can get over there and look at it though. There we go. I think we caught the last bit of it shutting down. I did say restart, didn't I? Yeah, there it comes. There we go. I see it here, but I don't see it up there on the laptop screen. I guess that's what was throwing me off. Maybe it's doing that because I got on this screen. Oh yeah, that makes, now it finally came up. I was going to say, because this one's the default screen. No, that's on the GUI, though, not in the terminal. In the terminal, I think it's mirrored. Yeah, it's mirrored. So this way you can see, get an idea what's going on. And before, I was like looking at that broken laptop screen going, is it working? Is it working? Well, now I can know for sure. So that's a good idea to flip on over here to the machine. Yeah, I put the the VGA and USB cable from the port 4 on the KVM switch over there, because it would reach the best, and because that's where my my desktop server was always setting, and that's the one I always use. So in my head, that's the server. And go back over there now. I didn't really pay attention. I suppose it said log in. That's what my problem is. I'm not paying attention. Yeah, I mean, it's not logged in. It's booted up waiting for a login. I'm not going to log in on that shell there. I'm just going to, actually, I'm not going to log. I may not even have to log in. We'll see. What I want to do is check my website. I'll leave that up until I'm sure. Now, what's his IP address? Do I have an IP? I don't know. No, I just have commands in there. What is all that? There's a lot of commands. Okay, well, I'll leave them in there, and then I'll get the IP from over here. There we go, 182. I know it wasn't 192. Oh, it is 192.168. I think I'm just too tired. My eyes are blurry. I'm so tired now. Well, right after I eat like that, I always get sleepy and my eyes get blurry. There we go. Okay, that fixed it. Now that's right after a reboot, website's up. There we go. I was talking earlier about never really getting my site rebuilt the way I wanted it. Well, this was something I'd put on my site just as an extra thing, a little pre-classifieds thing I joined up years ago, and you're supposed to be able to get, like if people buy stuff through the ads on your classifieds thing, then you get a cut of it. I've never made a single penny over it in about, how long have I had this on there? I'm going to say it's been on there 15 to 18 years. So, but I didn't have anything else to put on there anymore, so I left it. So let's see. And it's a free thing. I mean, when I go to it has an actual page on their website, When I go to that, I actually do get traffic on it. But, okay, now my music site, I have to look for the links that are 192. The ones that say bishopco.com, they'll go there on my, it won't be going, I won't be checking what's on this machine. I'll be checking like that one there goes to bishopco.com living beings, and that one goes to www.bishopco.com song. So that'll go there, but it won't be checking whether or not this machine has got I want to make sure all the pages are on it, or at least looks like all the pages are on it. They looked like all the folders were there when I looked before. And so that's about all I've got on that page anyway. They're all different, over the years I've edited it and did it differently at different times for different reasons. But so this is a good page to have, real good one. That's kind of like the whole manual for Apache web server on Fedora. I've got it in there. Well, I have the commands I ran, but I don't have the full instructions. I think I'm going to just save that page right there. Yeah. Get rid of the extra weird characters. Usually I always get rid of the spaces. It usually works out better. Some machines don't like spaces. Some operating systems don't like spaces, and like Windows will put percent signs in there when you. Well, it does. I think it does it when you save it. Percent signs of all things to put in there. So then it makes it hard to read, and then some applications and operating systems don't like that. Linux doesn't squawk it, but now then, I don't know if I need back in here again. I'll leave it like that. Okay, so good, very good. Let's see, save. Now I'm kind of wondering about changing that other one. Now that I'm finally done, let's see, where did I put it? Oh, it's right there next to it. Right? No, that's a different one. Maybe I put it in Linux commands. I was thinking I put. Oh. No, that's for. Is that for this? Yeah, that is it. So yeah, I do need to fix that. Okay. I'm going to put the command that I ran so that when I read that, it'll make sense. Okay. So now I have that all done up in both folders. It gets. I used to do things like that, put things in several different folders so I could find it easy, and then it gets super confusing if you end up editing the files because you don't get all the right copies edited. So now I'm remembering why I don't usually do that. Okay, so what's this? Oh, okay. I got to put this somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, Linux command. That's what I was thinking. Okay. Now, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I need to do. I looked up all the things I was wondering about, and got that laptop. First I can't hear it, then it gets so loud it blows me away, and it gets on the mic even, it's so loud. But I think I'll leave that just like it is, and then let's go in here. Maybe if I look around a little bit, I'll make sure that I've got everything the way it needs to be. Oh, there is one thing, but I don't need to do that tonight. It's almost 8, and I'm seriously tired now. So I was thinking about running the make desktop install commands in user Dawn, like in remote shell, and seeing if then it would just work, you know. Because it's missing a folder, and that's usually because it wasn't installed. Well, one thing, I don't know if it's usually, but one thing that it might be is if you installed it in a different username. And I might have installed it as root, and so it's not configured. It just doesn't have the folders in some of the files that it needs in Dawn, user Dawn. Normally, you know, when you're running the system as normal, you log in as your user, like Dawn, and then when you want to install something, you su or sudo to get privileges and install it, or use a GUI, you know, DNF Dragor or whatever. And so then it installs it. Then it automatically sets it up. It works for your regular user, and then if you do go into root, most of the time it works for root too. I hardly ever do that. Anything except for these servers, I've been doing that lately. It's just been helping me to set them up. Things that I've been needing to do, I could just log in as root, do it as root without having to type passwords or anything, especially if it's a hard password. So it's still up to date. By the night, there might be a couple of updates. You know, at 3, it's set to check at 3. And the logs, okay, there's only 2 now, just the 2 standard ones, your backup data now, your hard drive's failing, and or it failed its smart test. Like I did, you know, I did one of my previous videos. I did a full test on it, and or a full quick test on it, and it's got 117 bad sectors, and it said basically the same thing: back up your data. You know, don't trust it. But it didn't say imminent failure. Like, I don't know if it's that program doesn't say that, as opposed to some others I've used, or if it's the same program I usually use. And well, really most of the time that is the one I use in Party Magic, but I do know I've used other rescue systems and stuff like that over the years that, and I always remember imminent failure. And then And then I see these drives run, well, like I said, not 24/7 in a server, but just occasionally for 5 years, and still not broke. And then I've seen others that didn't even give you any warnings, and then they just break one day. So, but I've seen a lot more than 117 bad sectors on a drive and not say that about it, So, kind of not sure. Why it doesn't. I didn't see anything that explained to me why it thought it was in such bad shape. But it's working now. I was never able to install operating system on it before, and I think it's probably is. I will look back in BIOS today, and I saw that it's still showing. It's back to showing hard drive password frozen. So I don't think that has any effect on the installation now. I thought maybe it was stopping you from writing MBR or something, but I don't think so. I think moving the start of the first partition up 20 megabytes, like Adrian told me to try doing that, because that's where it gets they get written there most often. That's where they wear out first. I think maybe that's why I was able to install, and it's running fine, no problems whatsoever. But of course, that doesn't mean it won't just crash and die while I'm talking here, or anything. But now that I've ordered me a real server, and I'm going to build me up a nice server and desktop combo is what I'm going to do, desktop machine. I'm just going to probably, well, we'll see when I get it, but I'll probably end up virtualizing everything. There's two ways I can go. I can either put on a hypervisor and virtualize every operating system I want on it, including the server, or I can install Fedora 28 or 29 and then install some virtualization software inside of it, and then set the server to run 24/7, leave the whole thing running 24/7, and except for when I have to reboot or something. But and then if I do that, well, that's if I can leave. I do that. If I do that, the only good reason to do that is if I can leave it in here. It's not going to be too loud or too much heat for me to leave it in here. Then that might be the convenient way to do it for me, since I'm used to Fedora and used to running virtual machines inside of Fedora. Might be the way to do it for me. I could even use VirtualBox, right here. I'm pretty sure you can tell them to boot up with the system. I'd have to check and do it again, but that's not really what I want. I want to use the new. Getting off sidetrack now from what I was doing. I want to use the new whatever Fedora's got. I can't remember the name of it, but I keep saying that over and over and then not checking. But let's check this thing. Okay, so httpd is running, and I know very secure FTP is running. There it is. It's been says disabled, but it's running. I guess I'm not using that. I guess I'm just using SSH. But I'm able to SFTP into it. It's installed, but it's not. But it's disabled. Well, I'm not going to enable it because I don't. That might open up the FTP folders to the world. I mean, I don't have port 22 or 21 open, but to the internet on my router. But I do have port 22 open. Is for SSH. That's how I've been connecting to it. That is Anaconda. That's for the installation. And there's the keygen service for SSH. The daemon static inactive dead. I don't understand what I'm seeing there because it's I'm okay. Open SSH server there. That must be what I'm using. Inactive dead static. I don't understand that. It's working. I'm sitting here using it, and I used it. That's how I used port 22 with that was pretty cool. I'm going to have to start doing that instead of messing with that. I seem to remember that I had some frustrating problems. Now that I'm having them again with FileZilla. The only reason I've been using FileZilla is because the way I used to use Crusader won't work anymore. I used to just type in SFTP and the IP address and give me ask for the password and I'd log in. Now I won't do that anymore. And I do remember once on a while back, a year or two ago, 3, that I made RSA keys and put the pre-shared keys in the .ssh folder and all that, the public keys, and it worked. And but then I tried it again. I think on this machine, and I couldn't get it to work. I was doing it wrong evidently, because I went on the website today, or in that previous video today, and looked it up, and it says they support that. They even said, but they also said that it supported it pretty much the normal way. Well, I tried what they said, tools, new connection, and the only reason I don't do that because that's just more involved and took longer than typing. I knew how to type it in here. I thought. So unless, let's see, the only thing I was able to, well, I could FTP into it with FileZilla just fine, but let's do Lucky Bakcup again because I know it's set up. Oh, you gotta wait. Can't type until it comes up. Oh, now I lost my spot. It didn't go. It normally goes in there. I went in Lucky Bakcup super user mode, and it actually turned out good because I needed to be logged in as let's see, root. Root password. I needed to be automatically log in as root over there, and that's where I needed to be to go put my web server file, my website, in the right folders. And so I saved me now I have a profile in here, or a job, or whatever it's called. I don't want those to take a long time to run, so I don't want those. That's my daily backups. And they haven't actually been run since I've been making some videos, so it would be running for like 30 minutes or something. See, I don't want to do that right now. I'll probably just won't happen until tomorrow because I'm ready to quit. Okay, so I can click run now that I've selected that one, and it'll ask me to log in. I think the reason it kept asking me to log in, no. I think I'm typing it right both times. I think it asks you twice. Maybe it's double checking that you got the right. Or either that or I'm typing it wrong the first time and right the second time. But you see that's on port 22. That's SSH connection. There it is, and all it'll do is go real fast. And Lucky Bakcup won't try to write it if it's already there, and the one you're writing it is, well, actually, I didn't tell it when I set it up. I didn't tell it to skip newer files, so I don't know. Maybe it rewrites it in that case. But I got into trouble last time. Oh, when I was back in my 5 terabyte drive, that's what they call it, to my 8 terabyte drive, that's what they call it. Sizes are actually different. Actual sizes may differ. It wasn't working, and I was getting a bunch of empty folders because I had it checked, skip newer, and so when I turned that off, then it did it right. And I still haven't really done some extensive looking through. I didn't even make my last video while not doing all that yet. I was going to go back and follow up to how it turned out. Once I finally got it done. Actually, I've been forgetting about it. Well, I've been too busy with everything else. But anyway, it didn't take very long at all when I ran it a while ago when, I was kind of, I don't know where I was, but I know I had some big video files to write because FileZilla was hanging up and not doing it. And it did that on my phones too, and I thought it was something about I thought the phones were, were the saving stuff on the phones were making the phone go to sleep and interrupting the write. But now I realize it was FileZilla. So, and what I was trying to say is I think I got so tired of it before, like in Fedora 23, that I uninstalled it because I think it does that a lot. And thinking maybe I should. Well, it does work for small files. I mean, you need a quick way to do that kind of stuff. If I could just remember, hey, don't use that for. I mean, if you can't depend on something though for big or small or whatever jobs, then I'd rather just not have it on there because I'll forget and just can't remember to only use this for that. And just like Midnight Commander, well, it's still great for all the other things it can do. It has a built-in terminal, has a built-in text editor, and so you can open up. I can open up Midnight Commander over here in the remote shell, and then I can go through, find a file, open it up, edit it. If I need to edit a config file or something. And it's really, it was really awesome for that. And I thought it would do. Oh, now it's getting close to being done. I thought it would do well with the SFTP because I did it once, and I don't know why it won't now. Maybe I was doing it in Fedora 28, and there's something different about Fedora 29. I really didn't. I looked up the error I got. I just really didn't understand. There was no real reason to recopy this, but I knew it would be short, and I just wanted to kind of, It would probably be good to set up that pre-shared key because, well, then you don't have to type your passwords over and over. I don't know why it asked again just now. Maybe it's part of it needed to talk to it again before it give me the rest of the information. Is what it looked like because it was basically finished. But 1.44 gigabyte speed up is 310. I don't know what that means. I wonder if that's. Oh, here it is. 23.43 bytes a second, not kilobytes, bytes a second. That's bigger than kilobytes. Okay. I don't know what, I mean, I could look it up. Let's look that up. See what that is in megabits. That's the only one I understand. Equals. I think that's how you have to write it out. I've learned that a while ago. There we go. Oh, well, megabytes a second. I thought you always had to say, oh, this is data, not speed. Okay, this is data. That was speed. I'm thinking of speed all the time. So kilobyte per second. That is, well, that's way down there. That's like 2/10 of a megabyte per second. So that's interesting. Okay, so where was I? Oh, this is done. So I'm going to put everything back to normal so that whenever I reboot tomorrow or tonight or whenever, I'll try to remember not to. I don't want to get hung up in having to wait on a backup. So hopefully I won't do any kill it again, make it reboot. But yeah, see all these ones from my phone. I need to set them up like that, and then they can. I think they'll work. Then I can get those SD cards backed up without having to take them out, and then I can go back in there with, well, I guess FileZilla, unless I figure out how to get in there with Crusader like I used to do, and then I can delete the ones that I've already got backed up and get space back on the phone. That'll be a lot better than having to take everything apart because I have them in the ones I have in the tripods. It's a pain to get them in and out of there. It's not real hard. It's just I don't know, finicky, or it's nerve-wracking to me. My hands don't do it well, so it's kind of nerve-wracking. So I want to close that too. That really throws me off. I hadn't looked at that since I set this one up, and maybe I didn't on the Net Pro Max, but it says static on there. That doesn't have any readout, and then that says static. Oh. But it says right here inactive dead. Yeah. So I don't understand how it says that, but yet it's running and it works. Huh. FTP service disabled. It's installed, but it's disabled. Okay. Cups. Oh. It's running. Oh no, it's inactive dead. Command Chrome is active and running. Okay. And every entry for SSH server either says nothing or it says inactive dead. But I don't know what, I really don't know why, you know, what the difference is when it says static at the end. That one says, no, it says inactive dead. This one, oh, there it is, SSH service. It seems to be skipping that one. I'll go through the search. That's active, running, and enabled. So why does it look like we have more than one? I think it was something. No, it skips it. I don't see how come it can do that. It shouldn't. Where did it go now? Active, running. Well, that's SSD service. Am I just not able to see? My eyes are blurry. SSHD service. Active, running. So enabled. It is running. So whatever all this other stuff is, right here. Oh, I try to select it and I can't. I don't want to stop it or mess it up or anything. Well, this is called the Open SSH Server daemon, so. That part of it, Anaconda, yeah, that's the installer. Keygen, well, that wouldn't be running. Now there it is, running. I think I just couldn't see straight. I don't know why though when I put SSHD, when I put in SSHD, it wouldn't go to that right there. You skip it every time. But yeah, that's what's running. Okay, so that's what I'm using. I guess I'm too tired to figure anything out or see anything. So, I think I'm ready to, oh, that's what I need to do. Let's go back to the logs. They don't cause the machine, in the older machines, it works them too hard to leave it there. What I need to do now is go to my router. Let's see. What's that IP address? Put it over here. Yeah. I don't know what's in my term. I don't know what's in my clipboard right now. But that's where I want to go. That's what I want to open up. I don't think I've put that in there yet. Gotta have a drink. My throat is so. Oh, I took a cold pill because I was getting to really get bad sinus. Yeah, that's all I need to do then. Is go forward my ports to that machine, and I think it ran all night last night and all day today without any problems. I think it'll be okay. Let's see, features, port forwarding, I believe it is. So now port forwarding, pay attention there. All right, yeah, it's on 117. I want to edit that. 117 is the red black BioStar. Okay, and then where's the other one? 443. Printer stuff I don't need to change. I wish those were right in a row. I wonder if you can move them up and down and stuff. Now then, my virtual server. Oh, do you want to save it? At least it tells you that. You got to click save. Can't just move to the next one. Okay, now this is the virtual. This is the. Oh, let's see. Oh, somehow I didn't go. Oh, I didn't go there yet. Okay, virtual server. Now I'm at virtual server. It always turns me around and around. Okay. And I could have went and checked to make sure my website was already online, but oh well. Look, the main thing is that we go check our services and see that it's online still after doing this. All right, save that. All right, so now 182, 182, 182, 182. All right, now we want to go to Uptime Robot. I think this is the one with the long list, yeah. Now it checks more often, and it also shows that, well, that was only for not even a minute. That was when I reboot the router. That'll happen when you reboot the router and stuff. But it's been up for, what, 2 hours and 30. Yeah, I rebooted the router right before I ate supper. So let's see. Do I have a? Yeah, I'm on static. I think it's the other one. Sometimes I remember that might be there, and sometimes I don't. When I get tired, I want to click more, and when I'm not, I would rather. Now, see, this one didn't see it down because it only checks every 30 minutes. So we'll do that. Oh yeah, let's get our screenshot of that one too. And then you can reload them. If I hurry up and get my screenshot before those all, they don't stay up very long. So they're all still up. So I am now officially over on the laptop as my server, or at least unless something goes wrong. But so I'll just go ahead and close that, and you don't really have to log out of this. It'll log itself out. It'll log out when there's no activity. And let's see, what do I need here? I'm going to leave those up. What I was going to do is zoom out. Yeah. So now you can see the machine. Oh, I was thinking I was going to need to change the brightness back to normal, but I'll leave it like that because that actually looks all right with that white screen sticking up there and everything. All right. Now, let's switch to the other mic so when I talk you'll hear me. Wouldn't want you to not hear me. You know, you really do like listening to me. All right. Looks like the camera's a bit behind, but I'm about done anyway, so just wanted to show the last thing, and then I'm quitting. Okay, so last thing, magazines.
These are picked by size, not by what's on the cover. This one's actually a, what is that? Wholesale Distributors, FDW. Audio, video, lighting for contractors, dealers. I think they wanted you to come to something, probably in California or something. Okay, so I could not sleep with that. That is a bright light, I'll tell you. So there's no way I could sleep with that. Just I went and laid down with it like that, and I was like, ooh, I got to do something the other day. So now it's a magazine rack, and not an ugly broken screen. Sometimes I find art in things like that, but that one there, I just don't like looking at it. It really does. Day or night, I don't like looking at it. So, just like nobody likes looking at the back of my head. So,
I don't. Do you? Couldn't care less. Okay. That's it. It's working. We'll see. Hopefully it'll just keep working as long as I need it. I had in the back of my mind, okay, so if my new server turns out to be a great desktop machine and it's not too loud in here, I can still keep that as the server and it as just the desktop machine. But I don't think that'd be a good idea because it's going to break at some point. Right when when it'll be the worst time for you to, you're busy with other things or you don't feel good or something. So. I mean, a server should be used as a server. It's just to be a sin and a shame not to have some kind of server on your server. That way, everybody can't laugh at me for turning a server into a desktop. If it's a server and a desktop, then that's multi-use. It's being economical. It is economical, and I think a lot of people don't realize because, like this is. I believe I saw that it was manufactured in 2011. Well, prior to that, when I first started really looking at, I started looking at them and seriously thought about buying one. I used one. I think they were. Well, I don't remember actually. They were either. I guess they were kind of much in the same price range, 150 to 300. For of course a lot less powerful machine back into I think I started looking in like at least by 01. I might have looked in 99. I think I started looking in 99 first time. When I first started learning enough about computers, it's 98 when I really started getting into them, and I started learning pretty fast. Of course, it took it took years to get to where I really knew anything, like at least 5 years. But I realized that look at the processing power, the RAM in those used machines, and I was all about ready to try to buy one, and then I thought, wait a minute. What about the graphics? What about the video? And it was just 8 megabytes and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I can't. And I looked and I thought, I wonder if you could put a video card. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember for sure to be. I know I did. I know because as soon as I learned about video cards and graphics cards, whatever you need to call them, well, actually, I learned about it in 98 when we bought the machine. The machine we got was a compact Presario 350 megahertz Pentium 3 with a dedicated video card. We picked it out and told them, we told them what we wanted in our machine, and we negotiated. It was at, where did we get that? Now I can't remember. It was a big electronics store. And we went all the way over into Fort Worth. They didn't have them out in, where I live in Azle, there's another town between us and Fort Worth called Lake Worth. They got all that stuff there now, but back in 98 and 99, they didn't have any of that stuff there. So we had to go way up into town, the other side of Fort Worth and stuff. Anyway, we went to several different stores. Back then, Gateway was a big deal. We went in the Gateway store, but they didn't have any good deals in there. And they were real popular at the time. We couldn't even get anybody to wait on us, and mostly everybody. We were standing for 10 or 15 minutes, and I noticed that everybody that was looking were looky-loos. They weren't buying nothing, and we were ready to buy right then and there. And we started. I got tired of waiting. I said, "Let's go." And the guy saw we were leaving. He, let me wait on you, And so then, and when he told me what he had and everything, I had researched it enough to know what it wanted. Because we got. how did all that work out? Because what I ran, okay, I guess we must not. Maybe, am I? No, I'm not wrong. 98 is when I got into them. And I thought we got that machine in 98 when Windows 98 came out. But I was using, no, for a couple of years at least, I was using a Packard Bell 486 with Windows 3.1.1 on it. That's what I learned the most on. And I'd already, I don't know how we ended up with, and the mom had that machine for years, several years already. But until we got, AOL came out and got to be popular, and we got AOL, that was when I finally got interested, because I got on CompuServe on it a little bit, and I didn't see anything. But what I'm trying to think back is 91, I believe, is the first time I got on a computer and on the internet. As a friend of mine who I ended up being roommates with, and for several years, and it was Windows 3.1, like I guess the earlier version. So that, even though that that Hewlett Packard wasn't bought until years later, it still had. I guess that's why it must have been a good deal. I don't think it was bought until like 95 or 97 or whatever. But yeah, I was actually, I remember that that Hewlett Packard. Okay, where I am in this room right here, this is my bedroom now. Oddly enough, when I was a kid growing up, this was my bedroom, me and my brother. But I wasn't in this bedroom. I was in the middle bedroom, which was actually my first bedroom when I was younger, real little, with me and my brother. But then as we got older, me, my brother, and my sister, well, my sister didn't need a bigger room. That other room's smaller, So anyway, we ended up swapping. And, but the smaller bedroom, what am I saying? Okay, this room was not being used, and except for just like a guest bedroom or something. But so that's where the computer was, and it used to be over there against that window over there that you can't see, and then it got put over here, and it wasn't on this nice big desk or anything. It was just a little tiny thing, and I figured out my arm would always get tired. And see, I built this right here where I can lay my arm, and I don't get all that fatigue. I can do it 24/7. I can rest my arm, but I discovered that if I put a TV tray there, it would help, because you get a lot of fatigue and pain in your arm from holding it out in the air or trying to balance it on a. Well, the chairs we were using back then didn't have no arms. I think we weren't even using computer chairs. We just had chairs, like dining room chairs. And so anyway, that's what I had to use at first, was that Hewlett Packard 486. I had it for at least 2 years, maybe longer. And then we got so maybe we didn't buy that. Now I can't remember the time, because unless I was on the internet with that, well, I guess maybe I just didn't get on as much as what it was. But I don't know why I'm trying so hard to remember this. But I don't know why I can't remember it. I just remember that 98 is the year that I got on AOL, because that was what I used 98 in my screen name, and still do, on my emails and all that stuff. And but I know I used that Packard Bell for seemed like forever. But then also, I swear we got the compact Pentium 3 in 1998 when Windows 98 came out. But maybe we didn't get it till later. But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't kind of click in my brain. So anyway, that's what I was running several years later. I upgraded it to Windows XP. I bought XP Pro and put it on there. And it ran it, but not fantastically. Especially when I started out with like 256 mega RAM. I ended up getting 512 megabytes of RAM. But then I bought my Pentium 4 kit from Tiger Direct, and I paid $650 for it, with I think 512 megabyte of RAM and like a DVD drive or a CD drive, maybe CD writable, and it was a bunch of rebates, and it was supposed to cost like, that was supposed to take it down to like $450, I think. Well, I never did do the rebates. I realized that's when I learned I don't do rebates. So I end up paying full price for that, no discount whatsoever. So, but anyway, it's still my first machine I ever built, and I learned a whole lot more having my own machine that I could do anything I wanted with, you know, without worrying about anybody else, you know, saying don't mess up my machine, you know. So anyway, from there on, I haven't had a lot of new computers because I got to where you know, I learned enough to work on them, and so then I would end up being given old computers and stuff for helping people and stuff like that. So and that's pretty cool, because and that's when I learned, you know, it's really a new computer. It's like a new car. It goes when you drive it off the lot, you just lost $1,500, you know, or however much it would be. When you bring that new computer home, you know, you couldn't sell it for half of what you just paid for it. So unless you got an awful good deal. I did get a good deal on Mom's dual core AMD. We paid $250 for it, and got years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of use out of it. And it still runs great. I mean, I just wanted to upgrade her computer because I knew it wasn't going to be able to handle the new Fedora, and I wanted to keep running Fedora for her, because especially because she doesn't know anything about being safe on the internet and what not to click on or anything. And with SC Linux on there, you know, then she'll be much safer, because there's no security software on, you know, Domain. It just relies on user permissions. That's all it relies on. I mean, unless you build a server, there's security software for servers, and you can put stuff on there. But basically, desktop security, Fedora is the only one I've ever seen that comes with a security system like, you know, SC Linux is the only one I even know of, other than stuff for servers. That's a whole other world. But actually, back to the present, Adrian was telling me that you can install SC Linux on Domain. He said it's kind of a pain, but you can do it. And I'm actually interested in that, because some of these older machines, they just can't run the new Fedora, and if you don't have the new enough operating system, then you can't run the new Firefox, or if you're wanting to run Chrome or Chromium. I run Chromium as a second web browser. Well, actually I have 3, counting Firefox developer version. I use that for like when I need to see my website in its raw form, basically, you know, see it without any ad blockers or anything on it, or to work on it or whatever, or any other thing like that. Or sometimes something's not working in Firefox, and I'll go to Firefox developer, and then if it doesn't work in there, then I'll break down and go to Chromium. I don't even use Chrome at all anymore. Chromium is, well, when you first install it, it's lightweight, but if you add your see if I can, I'll go ahead and close this. This is Chromium, if you didn't know the difference. It's got the blue ball instead of the beach ball looking one. And it's actually the granddaddy of Chrome. This is what Chrome is built on, Chromium, if you didn't know that. It takes a bit to open up. Well, so does Firefox. But I was trying to remember, did I import my, it's not lightweight, it's not fast, it's not, it uses more resources than Firefox even. Well, Firefox is not really bad on the resource usage unless you open a bunch of tabs or something. I used to be able to open 6 tabs, and it's weird because I was on a dual core machine. It's just a difference in the operating systems as they grow. They always say they try not to bloat, but well, more features takes more lines of code. I guess you can't get away from it. So here's Chromium, and it looks just like Chrome. Where is my? I do have some, so you can see some of the add-ons I have on there, but I don't have enough to like slow it down. Bookmarks, that's what I was wondering about. Bookmarks page. Where is the how do you get into manage bookmarks? There. Oh no, I don't have. I made sure to not import anything. So, but it still noticeably uses more resources than Firefox does. And I just don't like the way Chrome or Chromium works. But look at all the processes here. That's how many, nothing, not even a page open, just the Google. Just the Google search page. Now those all take their own memory. And see, you saw the CPU kind of was kicked up and now went down. That's on Google homepage. That's not doing anything. Okay, so now I guess I'll have to compare it with Firefox. But I'll go ahead and close it first. Let's go over here and make sure it's closed. I think it closed. Yep, it closed real quick. That's cool. Now, so I already had Firefox closed down, so now we'll open it up and we can compare, you know, how long it takes to open up. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it opens up quick. Like that's pretty quick. It seems to take a while to load the pages though the first time. I have 2 home pages, and that one does have a lot of stuff on it. But okay, so it has plenty on its own, but and look at there, 1%, 1%, but it didn't have. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't remember how much more is down to there at least. So it's probably a little more than half. I was going to say it's half as many processes as Chrome, just sitting there running like that. Oh, and then remember this. That's 2 pages. That's this page. Now let's see what happens when we get, and we just go to, that's still the same amount of processes running. And that's not a lot of RAM. And no, see now that I closed the other one, it's not using up, well, it started a little bit there. But these things do a lot when you're not even using them. And really I don't see the necessity in that. They didn't used to be like that. And these are the things that will bring your machine to a halt if you don't watch out. On this is a quad core with 4 gig of RAM, which is no hot rod machine, but it's not a slouch, I wouldn't say myself either. And it's an i5 processor, you know, of course, which is, you know, pretty common these days. i7s are still pretty expensive. And something really rotten about the way they do that. An i5 can be a dual core, a 4 core, and I think it can even be a 6 core. i7s, I think they can be a 4, 6, and an 8, if I remember right. I don't check into that a lot. But you know what? The AMDs that I have, like Mom's dual core that I was just talking about just now, 2.4 gigahertz AMD. Well, actually, I never had any trouble with it, but with the 8300 8 core, well, it may be that motherboard. We'll see after I get the new motherboard, get it on the new motherboard. But the thing I was thinking of is OBS Studio. I installed OBS Studio and set it up to use like at times when I wanted to, I was working on that machine and I wanted to just stream from that machine. And it actually, OBS won't work right on there. After you stream 5-10 minutes, you look over there and look at the screen, you know, like this, everything looks great. Whoops. Oh, the whole time I was on the camera. I knew I was too tired to keep going, and I kept rattling on. Dadgummit, I was showing stuff, but I wasn't showing nothing but my silly face. Dadgummit, I keep doing that when I'm tired. I need to learn when to quit. So anyway, it starts looking like when your video memory's full, but it's not. The machine itself is not slowing down or anything. It's having no trouble. It's just OBS doesn't work right. And I went and looked it up, and there is a problem with OBS not working well on AMD. So, but the thing about AMD, I always, you know, they for the last several years, they've been 5 years or so, they've been plenty powerful. They say they're not quite as fast as i7s and stuff. Like say the 8 core, you know, the top end 8 core, the FXs, they said they weren't as fast as the i7s. Now the new one, forgot what they call it. It's supposed to be faster, but and have better video, onboard video and stuff. But the FX, which is what I got, the FX 8300 FX, because you know it's I already had that motherboard that was that I thought would work with, but also it's just not too much more money to buy the newest one. Ryzen, whatever. They're not super expensive now, but they're not. Like I got that 8300 for $99. I think the raisins were 8 cores were like $250 or something. I don't remember now. Well, it's been 6 months to a year ago since I got it now. That's how long it's been me trying to get that machine done and everything in the sun going. If it's not me being sick and not able to do anything, it's things breaking on me. So anyway, stop rambling because I just rambled on through. Thought I was showing stuff. Oh, that bugs the heck out of me. So close this up. All right, now I'm going to go before I do any more silly stuff. And yeah, I had went over here. What had happened is I went to the camera. When I do that, that means I'm, in my mind, I'm ready to quit. I'm getting ready to say goodbye. And then I go off and think of other stuff to say and forget that I'm not even showing the desktop anymore. So, bye-bye. And well, I'm glad that the Acer laptop is working, and that it got a server up and running on it. Now, if it'll just stay running long enough for me to get my, it's going to be 5 days to 10 days before I get that Hewlett Packard HP server that I'm getting, and then of course all the setup and all that stuff. And there'll be some learning curve there. I've learned quite a bit, but like I said before, mostly about IBM Lenovo servers, because that's what Morton loves to work on. He does have a couple of. He has a Hewlett Packard. I don't know if you call it a data center. I guess you do. A whole bunch of drives in it. That's all it is, just for data. And I've heard him call it whatever it is. I don't know how many times, but and he has. Okay, I've got the. Now I forgot the numbers, but I think he has the previous model of the HP just before the one I'm getting. And he has done videos on it. I just didn't realize because they were older ones. I discovered him, I think it's about 2 years ago now, and he's been making videos for 5 or 8 years on servers. So sometimes I just if I do a search for a specific thing, and then he'll pop, his videos that I didn't even ever dream that he made are popped up in there, and so I always make sure and watch him because he always gives good information. But in order to get more and more specific information on that server, I've been watching, everything. I mean, I saw some that were, somebody, and I did one that way last night or night before, holding the camera in your hand and trying to hold still but can't, and a lot, bless their hearts, the people that, if you're going to make YouTube videos, you really need to speak English, because English is, spoken all around the world. Well, they can't speak English, just like I can't speak any other language, and so they'll just won't say anything. Well, if one of them, I was watching it, and it was moving around like that, and I couldn't stand it. I just quit watching it because it was just, and I kept trying to, and the thing is I thought, well, where's the sound? I was trying to fix it, So I was missing what they were trying to show anyway. And then I did more searches, and lo and behold, I found they figured that out, and they fixed it by putting some nice classical music on there. It was nice. It made it watchable. They just put, and it wasn't too loud or anything, and I ended up watching it, and it had good information in it. It was just really hard to watch because they were trying to, they were using probably a phone, and they were going up really close to try to show you what they wanted, where you'd focus in and you could read the letters, and then they'd come back and go over here and go over there. So they were jumping around their screen, and they were going just a little too fast and trying to hold still, but, I don't think anybody can hold still enough to show text. That's why I'd rather have that one behind me, and even though it's blurry and you can't read it, I can just, it's not going all over the place, because I can't hold still. That's one, I can't even, I drop things all the time. I just flat can't do it. Now, I used to have steady hands. Could have done that. I used to run, I ran camera on, and did sound too, but I ran camera on a local cable TV shows. They call it cable access back in the, well, let's see, I did it on and off through, I guess, maybe 95 to 99 or something like that. I you volunteer. Somebody, the laws here in Texas is cable companies had to, it's called cable access. They had to allow people in the community to come in and make their own shows for free, and they even train you to run the cameras and everything. You get to come in, once or twice a week and work on your show in their little studio. And that was great fun. I worked on 2 different shows, and sometimes I would mix sound. One of them we'd go out and shoot live concerts, Christian rock concerts, and I would mix the sound. I set up to mix the sound to for the cameras. We'd just send it to one camera. Well, actually, at first I was running the center still camera and mixing sound to it, and then I think they got somebody else to run the camera, and I still mix the sound to it. And that's hard to do in a loud concert because you can't, even with headphones on, you still can't. You're still getting your ears bombarded with the ambient sound outside. But anyway, well, I've been into video since I was a kid. My grandmother was really into it on my dad's side. She had a Brownie 8mm movie camera, silent movie camera, and she had videos of all us kids growing up, and I loved that. We used to always love to get out that projector and watch those videos. And of course, they were all silent, and I loved the sound of that projectors. It made a special sound. And then she gave it to me when I was 17, and I started making videos. But by that time, the film was a little harder to get already, and it was expensive. It was like $4.55 a roll back in 1973, 4, 5, and then but I kept, she gave it to me, and I kept it. And as my kids grew up, I would make videos of them here and there. But it got to where you couldn't hardly find the film, and it was real expensive to get it in and to get it developed. And then when, VHS tape came out and all that, I kept thinking I would get a video camera, but I actually never did get one. I've never owned a VHS camera or an S-video camera. I've had VHS players, an SVHS videotape player over there right now. It still works fine. It's, well, how old? I don't know how old it is, 15 years old now or something. And generally, I don't know when it was. I had some money in 95 or something like that. And so me and my friends who I worked with in sound, they all ran a sound company, and I worked with them. My old roommate I was talking about, he started a sound company during the time I lived with him. And anyway, they invited me to go with them to an auction over in Dallas, and it was a big audio a production company. They would do sound for big concerts, indoor, outdoor, wherever. And they were selling off a bunch of old gear in an auction, and that they didn't want anymore. And I ended up getting 2. The one that I used was a BVP3, a Sony BVP3 studio camera. It's a tube camera. And when it was new, it was over $10,000. Well, I paid $350 for it, and it still worked great. It did have a little bit of a, what did they call those? They call them sunspots. Anyway, it was actually, they would get a spot on one of the tubes, and you would actually see like a little, it's kind of like if there was a water got on your mirror, and then it dried up and left that spot. It's kind of looked kind of like that in your video, but it wasn't really bad. It wasn't in a place where it looked real bad. Anyway, I used that for several years, and I got another one that, well, it worked too. Let's see. It was a Sony too. I don't remember what model it was. The other one, no, the other one was a JVC, and it was red. This one was gray and off-white, and it was the Sony BVP3. And I got a JVC, and I took them both and had them tuned up to this camera repair place, this pro camera repair place in Dallas somebody told me about. And the guy in there, he's a nice fella and everything, he said, what are you going to do with that other one? And, I was telling him what I was going to do with the Sony. I said, I don't know, I decided, and he says, well, I can sell it for you. And so he sold it. I decided to do it. I thought, well, I don't need 2 of them, later on I'd wished I'd had two of them, but just because I want two of them would have been cool, but also because he sold it for like, I think he sold it for, told me he sold it for $350 and I got 150 out of it or something like that, but I only paid $15 for it, so it wasn't no big deal, or maybe $25 or something. But after I had the Sony a few years, 3 or 4 years, I think it was in 2000 when I sold it. I got $1,500 for it, and the other one would have been worth close to that too. So, and that's years later. So I messed up. But I mean, I didn't really mess up. I mean, I didn't lose nothing. I gained money on both of them. So, and that's the only time I've ever went to an auction. Only time I ever did anything like that. Made money off of something like that. But that camera I really liked it. It was big. It was a real camera, and big and heavy. Now I wouldn't be able to. I'd wear me out in 2 minutes. I wouldn't be able to run around with it. But I put that on my shoulder, and that was a heavy camera, but something heavy enough that you can't throw it around like a phone, especially. But even these little like DSLRs and stuff, they're even too small to be steady with them. You know, they actually. That's why they sell all this stuff for them. Really, I mean, these counterweights and all this stuff, Steadicam stuff. Most of what that does is just give it some weight so that you can't throw it around so darn easy that you don't even know you're throwing it around. When I put a phone camera in my hand, even this one behind me, you can't see it, but I've showed it before. I mounted it to a stick, and so I've got me a selfie stick, but it's a short one. It's only this long, and I can hold it. And that does help because, if you hold a camera like this, like here's one of these phones, identical phones. You hold it like that, you're going to drop it every minute, if not every 10 seconds, You really start. And also, you just really do a terrible job when you're trying to. So with that stick, I can see the full screen, except for that it's so small. And when you get off to the side of it, you can't see the picture anymore. You can be off, 6 inches or 12 inches to the side, and you can't see the picture. I just can't use them. But with that Sony, it had an eyepiece. It didn't have any screen like that, and so you had to have that eyepiece up on your eye if you were going to aim the thing, and so you were involved in what you were doing, And now some people would throw them down on their hip and just shoot like this, and all you're getting there is rough footage that has to be edited. And some people, I had a friend who was good at doing that, and I let him shoot. I was mixing a concert, and I had brought my camera, but I was just going to stick it on a tripod, and he came up there. I'd been inviting him, and he said, "Oh, well, you going to shoot the show?" And I said, well, I knew he liked running camera, and I knew he was good at it. And anyway, long story short, I said, yeah, go ahead, take it. And he just spent the whole show with that thing down on his hip. But he would turn that eyepiece up, and he could see good enough to aim it. You can turn it up, but it's only inch by an inch, even if that big. And he'd turn it up where he could see it, and then he would just hip shoot it. And he did some he did some surprisingly well. And that was supposed to be cool at the time to shoot up, I mean, there was no stage. They were standing on the floor. Well, there might have been a stage about this high, about 8 inches high. Yeah, there was. But so, that gave a effect of it as if the stage was taller by doing that. He did know how to frame a shot, and anyway, he did. But that's all he did. He didn't ever put it on his shoulder and do some normal shots. But he did quite well. And I have another friend who is just flat fantastic. I mean, he could have been a professional photographer all of his life with still shots. But give him a video camera, and he just didn't seem to care. He would just shoot for us a little bit, and then he would just let it go at the floor or, wherever. And if he said, hey, you're missing the shot or whatever, he'd piss him off, and then he would just do it on purpose. But it couldn't trust, but you couldn't find anybody better at still shots and creative and colors and just things you didn't even know could be done. Like in concert lighting, the shots he got run circles around the stuff those bands were selling. And sometimes he would make big. We'd go. They'd have a lot of times they'd do show on Friday night and Saturday night. He'd shoot pictures on Friday night, and he worked in a photo lab. He'd go develop them. He'd blow them up and make big posters, and then bring them back. And I remember one time he gave me one, and it was this cool band from Australia that we liked. And he gave me one, a big old poster, and it was a girl lead singer. But she was married, and her husband was the bass player in the band. And so anyway, he gave me it, and we were talking to him after the show. Well, we're kind of waiting for, they were talking to all the kids and everything. We were the old fogies. We got to hang out because we worked the concerts. But I wasn't work. I don't know if I did any work that night. A lot of times I would show up to a show, and then the guy running sound, I'd know him, and then he'd want a break, and he'd say, "Hey, will you fill in for me for a while?" So I ended up I liked doing it so much. I'd mix half the show just because I liked it, that spot, It's like this. You're sitting here controlling everything, And he'd take off, and I didn't care. He'd take off and go to the restroom and stuff, and then just not come back till the show was over. He taught. His name was Barry. He had taught me most of everything I knew about running sound anyway, so I was always happy to help him. But I said I was going to go. The poster, I finally decided, I realized they were impressed by the shots he got, and I thought, you know what, they need those shots, because I'd seen the ones they were selling, and for some reason black and white was in style, most hideous looking stuff. That's the stuff we wanted to get away from when I was growing up. It was the coolest thing in the world to have a color TV, and I didn't have a color snapshot camera until I was 15 or 16, Everything was black and white when I was growing up. TV, pictures, everything. But for some reason in the 90s they decided black and white was cool again, but it wasn't to me. It didn't look good. It didn't, especially when I knew what people that knew how to make pictures, photographers, could do with color shots in low light if you know what you're doing. And so and I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to do it. My friend, he never shot automatic. He shot everything manual. And he wouldn't use anything but a Nikon camera, Nikon SLR. I was going to say not a DSLR. They hadn't been invented yet. Film camera, 35 millimeter film camera. He did get into the DSLRs later, much later. But anyway, the poster was a great shot of her, and the colors were just right. He caught it just right, and the light shaft shining through and everything. And so I got her to. I went over there to get her to sign it, and I said, and it just hit me, and I said, tell you what, write something on there, whatever you would say to your. I'm going to give it to your husband. And I said, write something on there, whatever you would say to him, something what nice that you want to say to him, and I'm going to give it to him. Let's see if he notices it. And so what I did. She did it and everything, and I showed them. I said, "Look what I got," and of course they knew it wasn't their pictures they had got from their management company. It's like, where'd you get that? And I was, my friend Lee. He did it. My friend Lee. He makes these pictures, and he I guess he just didn't quite catch on, and I was just going to see if he had noticed, and he didn't, and so I said. Finally, I said, well, this is yours. And he's, what? Of course, he's from Australia, so he probably didn't, and I'm from Texas, and he probably didn't understand half what I was saying anyway. We had, there was more than one Australian band, so I could understand them. I had gotten to know them and the things they said, and I thought they were cool. I liked their sayings and stuff. But anyway, finally, he finally realized that I had to explain it to him. I said, okay, I had to tell him what I just said, I got her to write this for you, Oh, and so finally he was really. I think he was really. I guess he might. I don't know. Okay, I would say he seemed touched by whether you can't know what someone else was thinking or feeling. But anyway, I thought it was neat, and I enjoyed doing that. Because all the years when my friend made those pictures, he'd give us 8x10, sometimes big old posters. he would give them to us, and he paid for them. He's always trying to do that. I said, well, you need to make some money on this, because you need to make money so you can give more away, right? And he once in a while he'd make a little money, but mostly he used his money he made working at the photo lab to make that stuff and give it away. But I had a few other pictures, not too many. I wouldn't let him give me a bunch of I knew how expensive those big old posters were, and I'd say, no, you're not spending your money on that for me, most of the time. But then he'd go give it to somebody else if I didn't take it. But anyway, I didn't really have a place to hang them either, and I didn't want them to go to waste, rolled up in a drawer or something. But that one I was planning on keeping because it was one of the best pictures he'd ever took. But then it just hit me that her husband needed that picture, so I gave it to him. And can't remember some of the others. They're still, well, some of the ones I did keep are tucked away, now in a box in the garage or in my closet here, right behind me, one or the other. That side. Is the pointer ever going to go? Yeah, that side with the towel. The one with the towel, that's the closet. The other one goes out of here. So which door will you choose? Go in the closet. You might not get out. Shut the door on you. I can't shut it, don't worry. There's too many things sticking out of there. That's where I keep my dirty clothes. They won't let me shut the door. So anyway, that's why it's always open, in case you ever wondered. Yeah, I don't know how in the world I got off into that again when I said I was going to quit. It's always story time for me right when I get tired and really should just be quitting. I don't know why. And I guess that's why, like other people do that. And I hadn't really thought about it until I got to doing it myself and not planning on it whatsoever. But I think, well, why do you do your stories along with your video? But then if you think about it, if they didn't, would anybody actually ever click on the story time video and ever see any of it? But if you're already sitting there, you already just got there watching them build their log cabin or whatever it is they're doing, and then they start a story time, well, you're just suckered right into it. You'll just sit there for 5 or 10 minutes before you know you've listened to the whole story. So I guess that's what I'm doing without planning on it. All right, so I want to go this time. I thought this video would be the short one, and it's an hour and a half now. So I guess that is a short one for me. So server's up and running on the Acer laptop. Hopefully it'll keep running until I don't need it anymore. And I've left that one in the floor. I want to go ahead and see. I'll boot it up to like that Fedora 29 live and see if the software without any updates. Oh, yeah, that's Fedora. That's from the original Fedora 29 mate ISO, so it won't have any of these updates. And originally it worked, and if it doesn't work, then I'll know there's something wrong with the hardware, and it won't be the software updates that broke it. So then I guess I'll put I don't know. I'll decide if I want to put one of these network cards in it or what. Yeah, I probably will, so it can be my backup server. That's what I'll do. I'll put one in there so it can be the backup server in case this one goes down, so I won't have to run my Fedora 14 system as a server. I could even stick that one out in the garage if I want to, and then go from there with everything else. I still need to. I decided I'm going to put a heatsink on that video card for the red black BioStar instead of putting another fan in it. Because the other fan I got is of that set of brand new 3 that I got together, and if I put another one in there, it's just probably going to go out in a month or 2 anyway, just like that one did. So now I'm worried about Mom's, because the original reason I bought those fans was for Mom's. At least she runs hers once a week, or once or twice a week usually, like to do groceries and maybe another time if she has to do something else. It's not going to be running 24/7 or anything, so maybe it'll last a while. And maybe just that one fan was a bad one in the batch, I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I'll see you later.